again, welcome everyone. Thank you for registering. It means so much that you're here with us today. And I wanted to introduce my colleague, Colleen Galvin from our North America Small Business team. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Hi, everyone. Colleen Galvin. I'm the Director of Financial Inclusion for Mastercard's North American Small Business team, and really want to thank you all as busy business owners and community practitioners that serve business owners. We know that your time is precious, but we really have some treats for you tonight. Very excited. I'm also sorry that we've had such tremendous demand. We can't display you all on this webinar, but we will be, as Carrie said, addressing any questions you pose in the live Q&A toward the end. So we'll be monitoring those and look forward to getting your questions. Before we get started with my colleagues from Community Relations, I wanted to just emphasize, why is Mastercard doing this? Why do we have a platform called Digital Doors? We know that when our small business customers are doing well, we do well. But we also know there's a lot of disparity in terms of access to opportunities, information, networks. And we're doing all we can in our role to address some of those disparities. So we've committed over the last 2 years to connect 50 million entrepreneurs globally to the digital economy. That includes 25 women entrepreneurs. In the United States, we have a commitment to do our part to address racial equity and the racial wealth gap through our In Solidarity commitment, which includes a 5-year, $500 million commitment overall. And we have been working with several Black-owned small businesses and the community organizations that support them. So this is all critically important to our economy. You all are the job creators and really drive our economy in the US. And someone who knows quite a bit about that I'm really excited to introduce you to is our executive in residence, Natalie Cofield. I have just had such a pleasure and a privilege getting to know Natalie and working with her these past few months. Just a little bit about her biography, which you can read in detail on our event site. She was a Biden appointee as an assistant administrator at the U.S. Small Business Administration, where she deployed $1.2 trillion to 11.2 million small businesses during the height of the pandemic. She's also an entrepreneur in her own right. She's a co-founder of Walker's Legacy, which is an amazing platform for professional and entrepreneurial women of color. And so we wanted to ask Natalie to take a few minutes out of her busy schedule to share some words of wisdom with you before we dive in on the presentation. So with that, I'm very pleased to introduce Natalie Cofield.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's exciting Digital Doors program launch. As Colleen just mentioned, my name is Natalie Madeira Cofield, and I have been, just like you, an entrepreneur seeking guidance and insight. And so I'm excited today to share a few of the gems that I've experienced just from my own background and experiences supporting entrepreneurs and being an entrepreneur. But first and foremost, as you've heard from Colleen, small business is big business. Everyone on this call and those who support small businesses are supporting the most important and critical economy and industry sector in the nation. 99% of business in the United States of America is small business. And I know at times when you're a solo entrepreneur or you have employees, that the road of entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey and a difficult path. I just want to, as we start today's conversation, give you that sense of encouragement that at Mastercard, we see you, we value you, our partners are excited about supporting you, and we want you to succeed and scale. So I'm going to just start off with what I learned from my own personal experiences about what it takes to be successful in business and really kind of thinking about the initial startup considerations. I know all of us are at different levels and different stages with our small business, but the reality of the fact is that COVID-19 has had an impact on all of us, and everyone has had to kind of transform or reconfigure the ways in which you do business. So there's no kind of beginning, so to say. It's a continued conversation about evolving, about change, and about transition to ensure business sustainability and continuity. And so the first question is really more of a quote. Is your company so small that you have to do everything yourself? Well, waiting until you're so big that you can't that's worse. And Michael Bloomberg said that. And I share that just because as small business owners, many of us, feel guilty or we feel embarrassed by the fact that we may be the person answering our calls, doing our websites, doing our books. But again, this is a noble cause. Entrepreneurship to me is the greatest sense of self-actualization possible. And so be ye not discouraged, as they would say. It's okay. There are challenges at every stage in the business life cycle. So another thing here is really at the beginning of a transition or at the formation of your small business, there are some really important factors that I want to make sure that you consider when you're starting or scaling or pivoting. And it's really understanding and being critical about assessing the opportunities, the options, and the business concepts. Many people left during the COVID-19 pandemic to start businesses from passion, and I love it. I think we should encourage more of it. But at the end of the day, we all know that in order to keep the lights on for your small business in your home and to take care of yourself and your family, you have to have a sustainable livelihood with this. And so it's so critically important for you to gain the business acumen around your passion to ensure success. And that requires that you really understand the industry that you're going into, that you thoroughly evaluate the way in which you're initially starting up, and then and most important, crafting a business plan. And I know everyone says business plan, business plan, business plan. The way that we have crafted business plans has changed so much from the more traditional 100, 150 page documents to today, what we have are pitch decks. Whatever the format, it is important for you to be able to articulate in some form, in writing, to yourself and to others, what it is that your business does, who it does it for, how you plan to monetize that, and what capital you need to sustain it. You have to fundamentally understand those principles in order to continue to keep moving forward. And it's important for you to do research at every stage, right? Understanding what you do requires research. Understanding who you're doing it for, right? We all assume that if you build it, they will come. But everyone has to do market research and understand the unique needs of your niche. Who is going to buy from you and why would they want to buy from you? I know friends and family love to say, hey, you're the best baked cookie, baked bread, the best service provider I've ever experienced. But we have to, in business, take this outside of the realm of the familiar and establish relationships with organizations and entities that don't know anything about us. And for them, the value proposition is you understanding who they are and building a solution that's best designed for what their needs are. Whether that be, I have a sugar rush and I want the best cupcake in town, or it's I have a cybersecurity issue and I need the best cybersecurity engineering firm ever. And so both of those are very critical and important, and you have to understand. And so many, mistakes that folks have made, myself included, have been being hasty at the start of starting your small business, right? So I've seen a myriad of different examples of this, everything from someone choosing a name that's way too specific. And then, a year or two later, they want to move into another area and expand operations, and their name has limited them, right? So even thinking about what you want to name your small business, I've also seen this issue where a small business has gone so far out there with a name that when they went to go buy the website and domain for it, they actually couldn't because someone else had it. You don't want to be there either. I've seen people end up in legal disputes around that. And I've also seen people expend exorbitant amounts of marketing dollars just to rebrand their business, to be able to do business under a name because they didn't do research about this at the beginning. And so it's important that you understand what it takes from that perspective, and then also what your financial needs are. So not just for the business, but for you, right? So there are two things happening at once. One, you have to be able to pay your bills to keep your lights on so that you can continue to keep doing business, but and surviving, but also you have to be able to reap a profit for your small business. And sometimes it requires that you have enough savings to take care of this so that you can continue to reinvest the profits into your small business so that it can continue to flourish and grow. Only you know what it requires for you to sustain the lifestyle that you want right now. But one of the best pieces of advice that I've always given to entrepreneurs is that it is important that you understand that sometimes you have to take a few steps back in order to have access to the lifestyle that you want. So this may be the year of saving. This may be the year of cutting back on spending. This may be the year to do all those things so that you can ensure on your personal side, everything you need to take care of is taken care of. And on the business side, every profit that you bring in, you have the ability to recycle back into your company so that you can scale and grow. And you can't do that if you're not financially sound on this side as well as this side. And since we're speaking about this in the context of Mastercard, we know that nearly 60% of small businesses start their business with their credit card. And I want to make sure that you all know your personal credit will always come into play. It will always come into play until you have established business credit. And so that's why things like today's program about financial empowerment and digital literacy are so important, because you have to be well-versed on all of this in order to be well-versed as an entrepreneur. And then the last couple of things that I'll say are this: it's important that you stretch your skill sets. You know, an hour of your time is worth money. It is, whether you're making widgets or whether you're providing a service to your client. And I oftentimes find that entrepreneurs forget to take into consideration an hour of their own time. They'll spend 3 or 4 months tinkering about a website because they want to save $1,000, not realizing that they've already spent $1,000 worth of their own manpower hours tinkering about a website and not being able to focus on the most important thing that they have to do in business, which is sales and operations. And so I ask you to really think, what are the things that are not necessarily in your wheelhouse that you should outsource, that you don't have to do? And what does it cost? And then ask yourself, is it worth the time that you would be investing to try to DIY, which is do it yourself? 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is it's not worth it. It's actually more costly for you to try to do these things on your own. And so I just want to make sure, again, that you all are really taking into consideration all of this. And if you have to do some of these things on your own, it's important to know what resources exist to make that process so much more easy for you. So instead of coding a website like we used to with HTML, there are now platforms that allow for you to be able to put a website up in 24 hours. Find out about those platforms, from Squarespace to Wix to you name it, and understand what it takes there if you have to cut back on costs in the beginning in that way. But again, we don't want you using valuable hours of your own time doing things that are outside of your wheelhouse. You're not a lawyer, so don't be the lawyer. Don't be your legal department, okay? You are the president and CEO and the head of sales. And if you have a graphic design background, maybe you might be your graphic designer, but if you don't, you need to go find one. And then next is making sure that you have a network. Again, I've seen it time and time again. Entrepreneurs start a business. They think as soon as they put the website up and get their business cards, they're ready to go. Now, I always say that when you've gained your first dollar, you're in business. You're a businessman or woman. You are a CEO. But the reality of the fact is you have to have access to the network that is going to sustain the business and is going to give you a sales cycle, whether that be networking with individuals because you have a fashion line so they can come into the store, or whether it be networking with chief procurement officers so that you can end up becoming one of the corporate suppliers. You have to be out and networking. And if that's not your strong suit, it doesn't have to be, but you do need to identify someone or some way that will ensure that you are always in front of your target customers as much and as often as you need to continue to close deals. As they say, this is about ABC, always be closing. Your first dollar in will be your next dollar out. So you have to continue to keep the cycle going. So with that being said, I know that you all are going to hear from some incredible colleagues at Mastercard sharing more resources about being entrepreneurs, supporting entrepreneurs, digital platforms for empowerment. But I want to make sure that each and every one of you have included the important components of what you need for your business plan. And those really include, what is a description of your business? The industry and market analysis for your company. Critical and important, your financials. If you can manage $100, you can manage $100,000. If you can't manage $100, you can't manage $100,000. And sometimes we have to say to ourselves, we can't put the cart before the horse. It's best for us to learn what it takes to manage financials at incremental levels than for us to be given large sum circumstances that we cannot manage because we want to be perceived as being successful in business. You are successful in business as you stay in business, particularly given the fact that nearly 95% of small businesses stop operations after the first year. Make sure you take those moments to celebrate the achievements that you have made as you pursued entrepreneurship. Assess your management team and make sure that you have that included, as well as a summary of your products, services, and descriptions. And with that being said, Colleen, I'm going to turn it back over to you and just say, in closing, 10.1 million of your fellow women and men across the country started small businesses in the last 2 years. It's a great day to be an entrepreneur, as it is every day, but just make sure that you have the skills and tools needed to stay in business and to succeed. Thank you so much for having me, Colleen.
Thank you, Natalie. Wow, always be closing. I love that. I will say that Natalie's work with us has really been inspirational in having a fresh perspective. I hope you will all see that in the months to come in our work. Very quickly, before I introduce my community relations colleagues, I mentioned Digital Doors. This is part of our Digital Doors webinar series. Mastercard put forward the platform Digital Doors as a website in the height of the pandemic, primarily to help all of you to pivot business models, get online, accept digital payments. But as everything we do is needs-based, and we've heard from you and from our clients about the evolving needs of small businesses, we are looking to do more in the areas of capital access, social media marketing, cybersecurity. So what you're going to hear from our colleagues tonight touches on a little bit of all of that. And as Carrie mentioned, we'll be getting information out on our webinar series, which will have a cadence of about every 2 weeks. I also want to mention that the Digital Doors website is a great resource for educational content and offers. It's mastercard.us/digital doors. So without further delay, I am very pleased to introduce Mercedes Garcia, our VP of Community Relations, and Jimmy Chow, our Director of Community Relations. These folks are seasoned Mastercard executives, and they support youth financial education, adult consumer financial ed, and small businesses like yourselves. So as Natalie talked about, really the foundational building blocks of getting your personal and business finances in order. And they're going to explain to you a little bit more about what Mastercard does and thinking about how you accept digital payments providers. So I'll hand it over to Mercedes.
Thank you so much, Colleen, and welcome everybody. We are very, very excited to have everybody here and to have the opportunity to conduct this conversation with you, because it's going to be a conversation. At the end, there's going to be opportunity for questions. So hopefully we're going to make it super interactive. So thank you so much for being here. So let's start with one of the most important things that my partner in financial inclusion, Jimmy Chow, who you're going to be hearing about later, and I always talk to people when we are doing a presentation, is like, what is Mastercard about? What comes to your mind when you think about Mastercard? And as you can imagine, it's most of the time it's, oh, it's a credit card company. But no, we're not. Mastercard is a global technology company in the payment industry. So Mastercard does not issue cards to people, and Mastercard does not process transactions for merchants. So we do not set up businesses to accept payment cards. There's, a group of companies that do that, and we're going to be talking about that later. But just wanted to make sure that you are not thinking, oh, here's the Mastercard people to give us a card or to sell something. That's absolutely not the point of this conversation. So keep in mind that we are a technology company, and our mission is to connect and power inclusive digital economy that benefits everybody everywhere by making transactions safe, simple, smart, and accessible. Okay, so we're trying to reshape the digital economy so everybody is connected and can do business together. Okay, so now that we talk about that, let's move to other important topics that we want to think about. So what does financial empowerment mean to you? I think it's really, really important if you're going to start a business to first think in your personal finances, because I doubt that if your personal finances are not really in a good place, maybe your business will not start like in the best place. So let's think about that. So what's empowerment? What does that mean? It might mean different things for different people, but it's it's a process of increasing the capacity, your capacity to make choices, to transform those choices into desired actions. So, and financial empowerment, what would that be? Well, the transfer of power over one's personal finances. Once you have all of that under control, that's a totally different story. When you feel financially empowered, you can control your own finances, not the other way around, which in some cases, that's what happened to some people. So why taking care of your personal finance is important for business owners? What would that, how that would affect your business? Well, until you can establish credit for your business, you probably will have to use your personal credit score and history to drive your ability to borrow money for your business. And as you know, many people start their business with their own payment cards or credit cards and more like in a personal place. But as soon as you can, you have to move to the separating the two things. So of course, as you start making money, you should reinvest profits back into your business, but not at the expense of not paying yourself first or not planning for retirement or paying your insurance. So it's really, really important that we keep that in mind. So when your personal finances are in order, you can focus on having a very, very successful business. So what are some key components in financial empowerment? Well, knowledge, of course, what you know about these topics. Also, the actions that you can take, right? What do you do with that financial knowledge? Then access. Do you really have access to the right products or right solutions that you're going to need? Like the examples that you can see there in the slide, having like bank accounts or card products or, credit, all of those things. You need to have, be sure that you can have access to that. And then influences. What are the factors that contribute to your beliefs and attitudes and behaviors? There's so many times that we have misperceptions or misconceptions about how things work or how things are. So it's very, very important that we are clear and always search for information about those things so we are not making decisions over things that are not totally accurate. So how do you create and maintain a healthy business habit for your business? Well, as I said before, let's start by separating your personal and business finances as soon as you can, right? Because how you manage those two things is going to impact the access that you have to business loans or those things, and also the kind of interest rate that you're going to have access to if you have a very healthy credit history, obviously. We always recommend establishing a business checking account because, you don't want to be mixing the two things, because you have to maintain separate records for your personal and your business needs, obviously. And then when the tax time comes, you need to have everything super, separated. Then also create a budget and document what goes in and what goes out. Just like you do for your personal finances, make sure that you do that for your business as well, right? Super important. Also think about emergencies. These are unexpected, but there's ways that we can prepare ourselves for those. So one of the good things for business would be understand your core business and your core customers, so you can identify things like sales cycles, if it's not going to be, steady all the time, if there's any risks associated with losing a major client. So try to understand how would that impact to you. Right? So you are prepared for that. Also try to build a financial cushion. The idea would be to have 6 months separate saved for any emergency that can happen. We just saw what happened with COVID a couple of years ago. But if you can have the 6 months, just try to have at least a month, 2 months, whatever you can. But try to be prepared, because sometimes emergencies can totally, take you off the rails and be really a terrible complication. Oh, something happened with my slides. They went back. I don't know why, but here we are. And remember also to keep your financial records clean, separate, because you're going to need those, especially if you decide to access credit or something, or request some support, or like we saw a lot of stimulus funds and all of that. You're going to need to have all the records to support your information, and also secure access to cash, which you can use in emergencies. So that can be a credit card, for example. Okay, so digital enablement and electronic payments. We're going to go quickly through this. So why having a digital presence is really important. Here are some numbers, and I'm not going to go through absolutely everything. However, there are some facts that I wanted to share with you. And first, the good news. 70% of small business owners have either added new digital capabilities or enhanced their existing digital services since the pandemic. 78% believe a frictionless online experience is critical to the business. Absolutely right. And 81% wish somebody would proactively alert them when there's like shifts or changes in topics like cybersecurity or best practices. And the opportunity continues to be that 76% report facing marketing challenges, especially in the digital area. And also 43% of cyber attacks are aimed at small business owners, with only 14% of the small businesses being able to mitigate such risk, which sometimes can cost around $200,000 in an average. And there's a lot of important information that we need to think about, especially around cybersecurity and about our finances, because again, that could have a very important impact. So once your business is online, you need to start accepting electronic payments. And I'm going to tell you why, because that's what's going on in the world today. Who's carrying cash these days, and who's going through the burdens of having a check? So most of people continue migrating to using electronic payments. So technology is changing the way we do business and how we manage our money. Everybody's connected, and that's continue growing globally. There's digital payments that continue changing, and a lot of innovations happening all the time. And then there's billions of estimated connected devices that are ready to buy things from everywhere at whatever time, from in whichever way they want. So we have to be ready for that. So as a business owner, and you can imagine how many times we have heard businesses, I'm sure you know many, that say, oh no, I'm just a cash business. This is the easiest, this is the fastest way to do business. But that's not true. There's no way that you can grow your business if you don't accept payment cards or digital payments. It's going to be super, super difficult, because the benefits of accepting digital payments is that you increase your revenue, because you're enabling new sales channels. You are not relying on people coming with a bunch of cash in their pocket in person to your business to buy your goods and services. Also, it increases your sales because customers spend more money when they are using a payment card, for example. You're also offering them a better purchase experience. So there's, I won't go through all the reasons why here, but I think it's really, really important for you to take a look at that. At the beginning, my colleagues mentioned you're going to be getting a copy of this deck so you can go through everything in more detail. And especially after COVID, so many people went through, this rude awakening because they were not accepting payment cards and they didn't have, in many cases, a bank account or something, that they were not able to sell anything or receive or send any money to anybody because they, were in this cash economy that I mentioned, that it's not convenient and not efficient and not profitable either, because there's a cost to cash. So the value of electronic payments to you also affect in 3 different areas, which is the brand and marketing of your business, the customer service, and the financial health of your business. And here's a little couple of examples on why, because when potential customers look at you and they see that you do not accept payment cards or digital payments for them, they feel a little uncomfortable sometimes. They say, you know what? I don't have any cash. I'm not using checks anymore. So I'm just going to run to the next business where I can buy the same thing maybe, and it's more convenient to me, right? So, and it gives the impression to them that you have established financial practices, and it's not a business that maybe will disappear the next day if you want to go and return something, or if there's like a guarantee issue with what you bought. So people feel a lot more comfortable when they have the opportunity to pay with digital payments. Also, customer service. If you're competing with big merchants, your relationship with your customer is the most important thing, and that you can focus on if you don't have to be doing wearing all these hats, like Natalie mentioned, and finishing the day in your business and having to count money or not being able to do everything electronically. That's going to take a lot of energy from you and from your customers. Also, financial health. Because as I mentioned, you're going to be opening new sales channels and you're going to have guaranteed payments at the end of the day or the next day, better cash flow, and enable recurring payments in some cases. What if you are selling services that are recurrent? And through accepting payment cards, you can retain the loyalty of your customers, because they know that they don't have to worry about anything. It's just, they're probably going to be seeing a charge in their in their cards, and that's it. So another quick thing that I wanted to mention to you is, because sometimes there's some confusion about it, not all cards are credit cards. So just wanted to quickly mention to you, there's prepaid cards, and not all prepaid cards are gift cards. They're reloadable prepaid cards of so many different ways. And that's your own money, or a person's own money loaded into a payment card. And there's like business prepaid cards and individual or consumer prepaid cards. There's debit cards. Debit cards is also the person's money, but in a bank account. Also, there's the 2 versions, business and consumer. And credit cards are the ones when you are borrowing money from the bank that issued your card. Again, it's not Mastercard, it's a bank that is lending you money in the form of a payment card or a digital account that you're using. So very important for us to remember that, because again, there's like, there's some confusions in terms of that. And usually debit, credit, and prepaid cards have exactly the same protections, also, zero liability and many different things. But let's keep in mind always that not all cards are credit. That was like the main message. And taking the first steps to accept electronic payments. Maybe you still haven't moved to accepting electronic payments, or somebody that it's still, kind of like stuck there, because some people think that it's super complicated and it's very expensive and all of that. And I can, assert to you that the cost of cash, or the cost of not using electronic payments, is a lot higher than that using the current technology these days. So the kind of processors that you would need, depending on the type of business that you have, could be acquiring banks. And some examples can be like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, TD Bank. All of them, they have a section of the bank that it's acquiring banks. So depending on the size of your business, you would prefer to work with an acquiring bank, right? There's ISOs, or independent sales organizations. So they are specialized in working with smaller business accounts. And some examples can include like Apple Pay, Square, PayPal, etc. And also there's the third-party processor or TPPs, and these work with larger merchants, and sometimes they work in tandem with acquiring banks or with ISOs as well. And also there's internet payment services providers like Amazon Payment or BitPay, WePay, PayPal as well. So, and those are more, let's say, the kind of business that you have does not have a physical presence, and all your sales are being done through internet, through your website. Okay, and there's a lot of information and a lot of support that you're going to be hearing about at the end of the presentation, where you can see a list of all of these types of processors in your areas, where you can select which you would like to explore or which two you would like to connect to. And very important thing when you are going to select a processor is to prepare yourself for that first. So you don't go with the first one that comes knocking on your door when you start your business, but also that you know what to tell them. For example, the kind of things they're going to be asking you, like what do you sell, to whom and how? So do you need a physical presence, as I mentioned, or if it's over internet, is it face-to-face or not? What's your average transaction size, your monthly volume, the history of your business, the sales process, all of those things. So you need to prepare by thinking about those things. And then to find the processing partner, you can get started with the bank. Let's say the bank where you have your business account, or talk to your local bank, or talk to the chamber of commerce that or a friend that has a business. There are so many different places where you can start. And wait, my slides are moving again. Sorry. And so additional recommendations when selecting a processor, these are the kind of things that you can look for. And again, I invite you to take a look at all of these recommendations at your own time later. So there's, you can go at your own time, and be aware of things that definitely can, be a problem for you in the future. Something else to close would be, negotiate to make sure that you are, getting the best deal for your business. You have to negotiate. And here are some areas that we recommend for you to negotiate on, like how the services are priced, don't pay extra fees, look at reserves and holdbacks. The longer your contract, sometimes is a lower rate. So these are, again, areas that we recommend for you to think about. And again, there's this information you're going to get, and other tools that Mastercard provides for free for you to think about all these different things. Okay, so let me just go to the next slide. And I think I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Jimmy Chow, who's going to talk to you about digital doors. Thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mercedes. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Hi, friends. I know I've seen a lot of familiar names on this list, so I'm very excited about that. So if you know me, shout out to you. Thank you for being here. I see you. All right. So here, let's talk a little bit about digital doors. So that's one of the reasons why we're all here. So I want to make sure that you have a better understanding of what this is, where it came from, and where it's going to go. So digital doors, as my colleague Colleen mentioned, was launched in the height of pandemic to really help small businesses, right? We are constantly evolving. We want to make sure that we have enough information to support small businesses in their growth, okay? So our initial focus was to enable small businesses for e-commerce, help them set up shop online. And now we're addressing a lot of different things like digital marketing, cybersecurity, and so forth. So that it gives you an idea of how we're evolving. And we're evolving because of you. So digital doors has three main components. The first is what we call the digital diagnostic, okay? So it's a great tool for businesses at different stages, right? Because again, everything that we talked about today can be applied to people at different stages of their small businesses. Mercedes covered a lot of information regarding credit, finances, or understanding that, cards or electronic payments. And so a lot of you might already have that in place, and a lot of you may not. So this is a great opportunity for you to sort of take a moment to really think about that. If you're an existing business, this is a great tool because it gives you an opportunity to really diagnose your business, to see where you are when it comes to a digital presence, okay? And this is all online, and I'll make sure that you'll have the website available, and you'll get this later on. So don't worry, just hang out and just have a great time with me, all right? Then we have educational resources as well as partner solutions, which I'm gonna get to in those two sections a little bit later. Now that I've talked about that, let's talk a little bit about this survey. So again, 18 questions. It takes about 15 minutes to complete, and it breaks things up into different categories. So you have strategy, marketing, and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to have you all take the time to actually look at this because it's a great tool, and it measures yourself. So it gives you a score based on other small business owners. All right. So again, you're not alone on this. And once it gives you the score based on the questions that you've answered, it's going to give you some recommendations, all right, and things and links to help you meet the need in that specific area. So that's our digital diagnostic report. So I encourage you all to take a moment, take a look at it, answer it, and it's lots of fun. I always like a good survey, but that's just me. Now, as was mentioned before, thank you again, Mercedes, for mentioning this, 36% of small business owners still don't have a website. And I'm like, wow, really? That's amazing to me because, again, that's a great opportunity for people to really engage their business and grow their business. So to get more information, we have other sessions going on. So coming up on April 11th, I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Martin Guerrero from Square. He's going to talk to you about more details about that. But again, if you don't have a website, take a moment to actually start creating it because that's really going to help you grow your business. Here's some of the examples of some of the educational content. The stuff that we're doing here today is wonderful. It's a first step, right? But there's a lot more available to you. And we have stuff from some of our great partners like Hello Alice and internal Mastercard resources. So I encourage you to take a look at this. And again, all of this stuff is in our Digital Doors page. However, you didn't hear this from me. This is a little secret. Don't tell anybody. But coming in May, there's going to be a refresh. So you're going to see new and existing partners, right? A lot more. You're going to see a whole brand new website. But again, if anybody asks, you did not hear that from Jimmy Chow. Just giving the heads up on that. Then here's some of the solutions. So again, like I mentioned before, we have different partnerships with existing organizations. So use some of those. And as I mentioned, some of this stuff is changing. So a little heads up on that one. In addition to the stuff that I just mentioned, we also have a small business website, okay? It's called the Small Business page. So on that, you have a lot of different resources as well that beyond the stuff that we have on Digital Doors. So if you had questions or just didn't know how to start accepting card payments, we have links in there to help you out. If you want to help with a business solution, boom, you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to learn more about cybersecurity, we have information on this website. But we also have a workshop coming up on April 25th. So I encourage you again to take a look at that. So that, in a nutshell, is our digital tools. So what's next? All right. We have some other webinars. So April 11th, like I mentioned, that's my boy, my thing. He's going to take you to Digital Presence 101 and accepting digital payments. That's our partnership with Square, which is a fantastic organization. April 25th, we are going to talk about how to prevent cyber attacks, okay? Cyber attacks is horrible. So if you're a small business owner, you want to make sure that you're protected. A lot of bad actors out there in the world who are looking forward to taking down the hard work that you put into the stuff that you're actually passionate about. So don't let that happen. Make sure you have enough information about cybersecurity and how to prevent cyber attacks. Then May 9th, we have access to capital. So this is going to be a great discussion with this organization called Lendio, as well as Acción Opportunity Fund. So those are some of the upcoming webinars. And then we also have some other tools and topics coming up, like social media marketing, emergency preparedness, so on and so forth. So you see it all there. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and reach out to us using that email, digitaldoors@mastercard.com, as well as checking out our website. Like I said before, Digital Doors has it all. So that's a great opportunity for you to take a look and see what we have available. Now, again, thank you for being part of this. I know we sort of gave you a lot of information, and we hope that you're able to at least pick out a couple nuggets that you're able to sort of build on. Okay, so that's the whole point of this webinar. It's large enough that we're able to sort of give you a lot of information, and we have a lot of people sort of joining, but we also wanted to make sure that it's tailored and it hits you where you need it. Okay, so that being said, I want to thank Mercedes, who is a great partner in crime. We do this all the time, and we have a great time doing it, and we love doing this with you all. But I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Colleen, to take us home.
Thank you, Jimmy and Mercedes. They are phenomenal. You guys covered a lot of information in a short period of time, so thanks for that. Just a couple of questions that came up in the chat. I think Andy mentioned that she is a member of Hello Alice. Jimmy talked about Hello Alice. They're a great partner. I would encourage you all to check out their content. It's free membership, and we partner with them on a number of fronts. Amber asked about marketing resources. So as we know from our own research and hearing from all of you, that now that so many businesses have gotten online, social media marketing is, wow, it's just mind-blowing trying to figure that out. Jimmy alluded to our soon up and coming new site in the early days of May. We will be relaunching, refreshing the site with a whole section on promoting your business, and that will include new partners, new offers, new content, everything around social media, CRM. I wish I could share with you, but I can't just yet. But we will also have a free ad maker tool, sort of like Canva, if some of you have used that. It'll also include artificial intelligence for generating your headlines and such, and templates for design. So we're very, very excited about that. Just looking to see if there's any other questions. Feel free to drop them in the live Q&A. And as Carrie mentioned, I know what a drag surveys are after events like this, but if we don't hear from you guys, we can't make it better, right? We have to take that to our management to get the resources to offer sessions like this. So please, please, please tell us what worked, what didn't, what else you'd like to see. You'll be getting an email tomorrow with that, as well as links to our event site, which has will have the recording of this session and invitations to our future sessions that Jimmy covered. Okay, I'm seeing a question. Is Mastercard participating in the micro transactions space? That is a great question. And yes, I'm sure that we have colleagues that are. I'm going to have to follow up with you and get back. How to partner with Mastercard as a small business. I see. Oh, Splur, you posted your business address earlier. We can share that out. And I would also say that depending on where you're located, in select cities, we're creating communities with Hello Alice called Strive Cities. So let's follow up. If anyone wants to email after this specifically, we can answer emails at digitaldoors@mastercard.com.
And Colleen, I see a question regarding from Jasmine Thomas. She's asking, I have an online store through Shopify, and I'm thinking branching out in person. Is a good idea to take cash or keep it card only? I would recommend that you do the math, because as I mentioned a couple of times, cash has a cost. So go through that and just check if it really makes sense or not, with all what it entails to accept cash, to get cash, to receive it, to secure it, and then having to in the place where you're going to be, to make sure that the cash is not going to go anywhere, and there's not going to be anybody targeting you because they know you have cash in your store. So just think about it. I would say, as you probably have seen, more and more businesses are turning into no cash businesses to protect their money, to protect their employees, and to have everything done super fast, not having to have cash there to give change or anything. So think about that. I would recommend.
Yeah, that's great, Mercedes. I agree. And I think it really comes down to knowing your customers. And so while it's good to support all your customers in the way they prefer to pay, you do want to be mindful of the risks. And the question on peer-to-peer payments, we will follow up. It's certainly a very important and growing space that I'm sure you all are seeing. There's, also small business to small business. The whole B2B space is an area that we can assist with. Before we break and before we'll look for any additional questions, I did want to mention something in case it wasn't clear. Digital Doors is open to all small businesses. While of course we would love for you all to be Mastercard consumer and small business card holders, it is intended for broader reach and making sure that everyone has equitable access. So it's not what you see on the site. There will be some Mastercard features, but we're very clear when that's the case, if a particular benefit is tied just to a Mastercard. Hope that's helpful. Let's see. Bear with me, folks, while I'm scrolling down. I think that's it. Amber actually replied, everyone can see, through Mastercard Send solution is our peer-to-peer solution. So see, even I learned something new tonight. Thank you, Amber. Any other questions? No, if not, we'll close out, and thank you so much again for the time, and we look forward to hearing back from you and seeing you again in about 2 weeks.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.